Ladies and gentlemen, we have a teacher here who is in need of a virtual hug. Let's give a virtual hug to this teacher who's posting as dangerous noodles. I failed today. I'm sure it's not that bad. Let's check it out. I'm a first year, ninth grade reading teacher, and I completely broke in front of my students. I started a few weeks ago and I've been dealing with constant defiance. Students don't listen, follow classroom, school rules, write ups mean nothing to them, and parents constantly tell me they don't know what to do to help their child when I call them. Whew. We've all been there. We've all heard that from a parent, and it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable. We'll get back to that. I was yelled at by a parent today and blamed for their child's write up today. I was told this is my job and I signed up for her son being disrespectful to me and I need to learn how to handle it besides writing him up. Excuse me? She then told me she would do everything in her power to have her son removed from my class. Yeah, okay. That'd be good. All of this was said in front of my AP who was in the okay. So I want to get back to that too. I then immediately had the worst class period so far to date right after. I was trying to instruct my students on how the remainder of the semester will go, but a majority besides two or three kept talking right over me. Using all tactics I typically use to get their attention didn't work, so I stopped instructing and instead put up an assignment that was due by the end of class. They became upset by this, and I reminded them of the policy I instilled at the beginning. We can have fun in the class as I planned, but if they refuse to listen, I would just give direct assignments instead that are not fun to do. Okay. They did begin to work on the assignment, and just before the end of class, I told them that they could stop. I wouldn't be grading it. I was wanting them to see how the rule would be enforced, but the next assignment would be graded. Oh, ah, that's that's a mistake. First year teacher, I get it. That's a mistake. And let's get into this. With this, you gotta follow through. You have you if you give a consequence or if you state that a consequence is going to happen as a result of X, Y, and Z, you got to follow through on that. You got to follow through on that. And only I know you probably thought that you were doing a good thing and pulling back that assignment and not grading it, but what you did right there is you shot yourself in the foot because largely, and it's unfortunate, but what motivates a lot of students are the points. And I used to tell students, hey, if you want points, go play a game. This is about learning. But here in this situation, you had a class full of a lot of students who were focused on the points. They want those points. And you were able to get them to do the assignment, which is good. That's a win. You gotta ride that out. You gotta stick with that. So if students didn't do too well on it, they were able to correlate, hey, we as a class, we weren't listening with as a result, now I've got this assignment that I didn't do too well on. I didn't get a lot of points on this assignment. They need to know what that feels like so that perhaps you won't have that problem again. That's the reason for you having that policy in your classroom, and you got to follow through on that. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to give a class full of students who are really really overly pulling on your classroom management slash leadership skills. You don't want to give them any kind of sense of chaos in the classroom coming from you. Okay. And then also what's going to happen is, well, let me go back there. The reason I say that is because they need to understand what's going to happen next. They need to understand that your word is your bond. If you said it, you meant it. If you said it, it's going to happen. You don't have to guess. There's no chaos in this classroom. It's going to happen. And ultimately what happens is teachers who are consistent in that regard, students, they grow to respect them, respect their authority, and that helps to manage those behaviors because they know in their mind that this is going to happen. If I don't pay attention, if I don't buckle down and pay attention. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is when you have classes like this, and we've all had classes like this, it's tough. It really is tough. But when you have classes like this, the time is coming where the grading period is going to come to an end, and students are going to be held accountable by their parents for what they did in your classroom. And students are going to have to come up with an explanation. If they don't have a good grade in your class, they're going to have to come up with an explanation as to, hey, why is your grade so low in this class? Well, now what you've done by taking this assignment away, by not grading this assignment, is you've given the students a you've given them some ammunition to blame you for why their grade is low. Because they could say, oh, well, my grade is low because of that teacher. She doesn't grade our assignments. And I turn that stuff in, but she just doesn't grade them. For example, there was this time in class where we were supposed to do this assignment, and I was almost finished with that assignment. I just had one more question to do. And then she says to us, you can stop working on that assignment. I'm not even going to grade it. And I was so devastated. I was so devastated. It broke my heart. It really hurt my confidence and motivation in that classroom. I tell you, I didn't even want to go to the class the next day because my feelings were hurt so much. She said she wasn't going to grade my assignment. You see what I'm saying? That's how that works. So this is a mistake. And in the immediate, see, I haven't even read the rest of this, but I see it said this angered them. And I could just imagine just how bad that situation was because you had one student get upset and say something, then another, then another, then another. Then you just got a mutiny on your hands, and you just, as a teacher, you're just paralyzed and you're not exactly sure how to respond in the moment. I'm certain that something like that happened because it was a bad decision, in my opinion, to not follow through and grade this assignment. All right, here we go. This angered them beyond belief that I wasted their time. Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. You got a tough class. But this is the way that it's going to be perceived even outside of the classroom by the parents. It would be perceived this way that, their time was not honored. So, I mean, yeah, this teacher, Dangerous Noodles, will learn from this and won't make that mistake again. But, I mean, hey, it's their first year and you're working with ninth graders. That's tough. That's tough. Oh, geez. They began mocking me as I was trying to explain why I had them do the assignment. Jeez Louise. Yeah, this is enough to break someone down. This is enough to break someone down. I broke down at this point and started crying while almost the whole class laughed at me. Oh, jeez. Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel that. I feel it. I can see it. I just, There's just a lot of things we just don't get that preparation for in school. And something like this, I broke down at this point and started crying while almost the whole class laughed at me. Once the bell rang, I quickly left the classroom so I could go compose myself for the next class. All right. Okay. I like that. I like that. You got a job to do. Dang, they got me that time. Let me get myself together because next one's going to be better. I like that attitude. And rumors quickly spread that my class had made me quit today. Many students were surprised and disappointed that I hadn't. I am really starting to think I should, though. I want to help these kids, but I don't know what to do. Admin keeps telling me to keep writing them up, but write-ups mean nothing to them, nor do their parents care. Plus, it's just constantly adding more work on me every single day when I'm already drowning from the work as a first-year teacher. One or two kids would be reasonable to make reports on and create write-ups, but 15 plus students a day is just impossible. Classroom rules mean nothing to the students and assigned seating is ignored. I don't know how to manage this. I mean, I wish that I could go and wish I could go and be with this teacher and talk with this teacher and just observe them and help them do their job. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they have the teaching stuff down. It's just it's the classroom management part. It's it's that part that this teacher is struggling in, and I don't know. The principal should be doing that. What I really want to do, that the principal should be doing that. Like this teacher needs help. This teacher needs assistance. This is a first year teacher, and like something like this, it should have been accounted for. It should have been anticipated by the principal. Like, we just can't leave this teacher hanging like this. Like, we're going to lose this teacher. Like, just the dynamics described here. I mean, there's just serious intervention that is necessary. These kids, they need to be held accountable. Certainly, there's one or two of them that we've got enough on that we can really just make some examples out of, to really send the message that, hey, this isn't going to be tolerated. And then I'm sure you have some students that, as a principal, you can reasonably you can work with. Like, you can kind of get them on your side. Like, the administration has a lot of work to do to get to bring some balance to this situation. And then going back to this meeting, like, as the AP is right there, is like, excuse me, ma'am, no, we don't teacher shop in this school. Now we're gonna work with your child, but let me tell you this teacher right here, we vetted her, and what we learned throughout that process, the interview process, when we vetted this teacher, this is a fine teacher. It's going to be an outstanding member of this teaching staff, and so we're gonna support this teacher, and no, we will not be moving kids out of their classroom. Something along those lines to shut this stuff down. Like, we can't have, like, that's just too much to put on a first year teacher. This assistant principal sitting in this meeting knows what kind of class this is. They know, they're probably aware of what this teacher is dealing with, and so to allow this meeting to go on long enough where the parent is yelling at this first year teacher, I mean, that we shut that down. Like, this meeting is over. Miss Thompson, we'll just call her Miss Thompson. You can go, and if the parent wants to yell, they can yell at me. And after they finish yelling, I'll let them know that, again, we don't teacher shop in this school. Your son's going to have to make some adjustments. We have this, this extra tutor time your student can go to, just all of these different things. But ma'am, these are the write-ups that I have for your student. These are things that your student has admitted that they did in this classroom. And we want to work with your child, but your child's just got to make better decisions in this class. And I think that's going to lead to increased academic performance on the part of your child if they make these adjustments. But no, you're not going to yell at my teachers. You're not going to blame them. And certainly they didn't sign up to be disrespected by little kids. That's not going to happen, and it's not acceptable. So I got a problem here, that this assistant principal allowed this teacher to stay in this meeting to catch all of this heat from the parent. That's not cool. And you know what? To this teacher, I mean, this is a lot of stuff. This is a lot. And you know what? Thankfully, as a society, we're coming around. I don't want us to be. We've got to be mentally tough. That's important. But we've also got to be mentally healthy, and there's a balance, because we need to be mentally tough because life's tough. Life's going to challenge us, and if we want to grow, we've got to be challenged. But if we're in situations that are kind of toxic to our mental health, like it's not about mentally being mentally tough. This is an ugly situation. Like, this is a toxic situation. It's just beating someone down. There is a balance. And so I would say, just based on what I read here, hopefully the teacher can stick out the year. But I would say, if you're not getting the support, that you need from admin, then you know what to do. Your contracts are year to year. You have the ability to do something else. Go to another building and see. Yeah, here we go. This is my point. Right here. If that AP allowed a parent to yell at you, you have a crappy admin. A good administrator, you got that right. That's what we're not going to do. You're not going to yell at my teacher. My teacher has better things to do than to sit here and listen to you yell at them and say that they should allow disrespect from little kids. Yeah, we're not doing that. This meeting is over. Yeah, freshmen are difficult. Freshmen are difficult, but I'll tell you, I worked with freshmen for about 12 years, and man, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Once you establish that consistency and you establish yourself as the leader in the classroom who's willing to serve, I'm the leader in the classroom, but I'm here for you, and this is all about you. I want to help you learn and grow, and I'm passionate about that. And I'm willing to have some fun. Oh man, teaching freshmen, it's great. It's great. So I don't know. I don't know. There's more details that we don't know about this situation, but I would say to this teacher, you gotta take care of yourself. Like, I don't like what I read here. That doesn't look like a really healthy situation. It's not. as I said before, it's not a healthy challenge for you that's going to challenge your mental toughness. It sounds more like a toxic situation that's going to just drain you and be a threat to your mental health, which that's not good. So everyone, I want to know what you think. Let's leave some comments, some leave some advice for our colleague here. Again, virtual hug. This sounds like a really tough and stressful situation, and I'm curious to know how things turn out. So hopefully this teacher gives us an update later in the year as to what they decide to do or how the rest of the year went. So thank you so much for tuning in. And until we meet again, please don't forget that teachers are leaders.